now we're going to go ahead and hop into the news for today. We have an article here from CoinDesk, and it's about the Bitcoin miner IREN Energy and kind of their JPMorgan basically saying they're 100% upside as far as investing. So let's go ahead and see why that is, because this is pretty crazy. All right, so Bitcoin miner IREN Energy has more than 100% upside, JPMorgan analyst says. The bank's analyst initiated research on IREN Energy with a buy equivalent rating and a 12-month price target of $30 per share. The shares of IREN Energy, IREN, if you're looking in your Robinhood apps or whatever, a Sydney-based company that mines Bitcoin primarily with renewable energy, has the potential to rise more than 100% in the next 12 months. JPMorgan analysts led by Reginald Smith wrote. All right. So Bitcoin has the possibility of doing 100% as well, right? The price targets are $100,000 by all those trade analysis. This is not financial advice, and I don't really ever talk about price. We talk about more the technical stuff for the most part, other than like trying to determine what our ROIs are, which frankly is impossible if we want to be really honest, and I try to make that clear. ROI calculations, just saying. But this is kind of an odd duck because in general, I think this is the first time we've seen like a large company like JPMorgan do a review and give pretty much 100% upside to it, right? With a 100% increase in 12 months and be kind of positive about a Bitcoin mining operation. Let's see if we can figure out why they think it is, right? And if it's just based on Bitcoin. So IREN Energy is a cheap way to play the digital gold rush, said JPMorgan's analyst, citing deep discount for its shares versus other crypto miners. You know what else is a cheap way to play the digital gold rush? Buying $1 worth of Bitcoin. Just saying. I'm just saying, okay? We think IREN is an attractive and efficient way to gain long exposure to Bitcoin prices and sentiment, and are initiating coverage with an overweight rating and $30 December 2022 price target, the analyst wrote. The shares of IREN Energy closed at $14.40 on December 10th, implying about 108% upside based on JPMorgan's price target. Meanwhile, another Wall Street investment firm, Compass Point Research, also initiated research on IREN Energy with a buy rating and 12-month price target of $22, implying more than 50% upside from Friday's close. We believe IREN is well positioned with a large order for 14.5 exahash a second of Bitmain with below market pricing and strategy of owning operating data centers, wrote Compass Point analyst Giuliano Bologna. I had to. I know it's wrong. It's his name. It's Bologna. All right. That's what it is. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any corrections. Bologna also highlighted that IREN Energy has the right pieces to become one of the biggest Bitcoin miners, and that shares are currently trading at a discounted valuation. The shares of the Bitcoin miner have fallen about 42% since its trading debut on November 17th. Last week. The company said its monthly revenue fell 10% in November because of timing issues and increase in network difficulty. Yes, this is the thing. It's whether you invest in Bitcoin mining directly and you're mining it yourself, or you invest it by purchasing the Bitcoin, or whether you purchase a stock in a company that is participating within Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin and how it's performing versus fiat currencies is going to affect it pretty similarly, right? So if Bitcoin goes down, IREN as a stock is more than likely going to go down. If the network difficulty goes up, you're adding even more issues as opposed to just buying Bitcoin if you're also investing into a Bitcoin mining operation, because now you're also beholden to network difficulty. So you have a whole other vector there that's going to, basically affect your investment. On top of that, you're also trusting somebody else. You're trusting this company to run their Bitcoin mining operation properly and efficiently. And so you have basically 3 points of failure as opposed to just buying Bitcoin and having 1 point of failure. Now, there are arguments for purchasing your own Bitcoin miners, and we've talked about a lot of those on that channel. I just wanted to make that very clear when we're talking about these sorts of investments in particular. Shares of IREN Energy went down about 3% in early trading on Monday after rising in pre-market trading. So there's kind of the rundown on what's going on. The interesting part here is traditional financial institutions having huge upsides and predicting huge upsides for Bitcoin mining operations, meaning that we are having a very interesting market performance for, I guess, just cryptocurrencies in general, right? What I see is a huge shift, a mental shift from the previous kind of Bitcoin super cycle, where we might not need to expect like a crazy dip for the bear market, right? And we may just see something kind of level out, especially due to global economies and inflation, etc. Plus, everybody in the traditional financial institutions kind of basically eyeing it. And the fun part about that too is, if you guys haven't heard about the Trojan horse theory for Bitcoin, it basically goes something like this. Your top 1% in your traditional financial institutions are generally opposed to Bitcoin, but because the performance of Bitcoin as an asset is skyrocketing and so attractive to so many people, they still want to get on board. But by getting on board, they drive the price of Bitcoin up, and because of the supply cap, etc., and the way that the economy functions, they are essentially kind of in the long run hurting themselves, because they won't be able to print more of that money to put more in their pockets while, you know, destroying your savings account for retirement. Anyways, that's kind of the theory at a brief overview, and we kind of can start to see it coming to fruition in articles like this, and that's why I bring it up. It's super interesting. Would I buy IREN personally? Probably not. I'll probably just buy more Bitcoin. And that's kind of the whole thing, right? If you're purchasing the stock, you're also basically adding into that whole, you're not making any differences, right? Like the point of cryptocurrency as it was founded, which we should try to hold to, is giving the everyday man the ability to control his finances and autonomy over that, right? Without the interference of banks, corporations, and governments messing with it. And that was kind of the whole point from the get-go. That's what I'm trying to drive home. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to see more. Also, you can check out this playlist for more content talking about cryptocurrency.